I was
That's
born a
true.
premature baby and separated from my mother, who was cold as to begin with, very cold woman, right after birth, for a whole month maybe, very, and that trauma left scars in me that I can feel. For instance, I need touch much more than average.
Yeah.
I can go from now to eternity to all sorts of workshops. I won't get rid of that. That's fundamental me, and I make the best out of it. I was a very good daddy because of that.
Yeah.
Not that my children appreciate it, and don't expect your children to appreciate, because then you'll have a crisis like Iska and
I know. Yeah.
because they're in total, their whole, it's not the problem of the son, a whole system of belief collapsed because of that. Do you see what happens when you don't have mental freedom? You become extremely vulnerable. It's like, it's like karate or judo. You just find this balance, and you don't need much. You just, and then he's down, he's on the floor.
Yeah.
Because in order to really be a fighter, you have to be flexible. Now, karate, tai chi, I think even judo, I'm not sure about judo, but were invented by spiritual schools. And they were invented as part of a holistic system of education, to make you mentally realize that you should, it's a game, it's a dance.
Dance, yeah.
It's not it's not
battle.
it's not a battle, it's a dance.
Yeah.
The Bible is a dance.
Yeah.
You have to dance with it, or you just lose 90% of its vitality.
So what is the best way to do that, in your opinion, to dance with the Bible?
What we're doing is wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no knowing the Bible by heart won't bring it about. No, just having dialogue, being aware, being as awake as possible. Raising your own children is so good, so biblical.
Yeah.
It's more important than eating kosher and
Sure.
keeping the calendar and all that.
Yeah, I realize that. Yeah.
That's because then there's no better mirror to your own personality than your children.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also the level of intimacy that it brings about is unbelievable. And the reason why we invented traditional education, conventional education, was to escape that intimacy, because most of us cannot contain so much intimacy.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
But it's you don't know how good it is. What happens later, it's not, you do your shtick, and that's wonderful, and later it's none of your business.
Yeah.
I make a film. After it's done, it's not mine. It has a life of its own.
Yeah.
Same with children.
Absolutely.
They have their life of their own. They can become all sorts of things that you haven't even imagined.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing.
Yeah. And they're in God's hands.
It's a wonderful feeling for me, because I love them. I enjoy talking, meeting, hugging, doing everything. Them, the grandchildren, but I'm done.
So what is your focus in life now, Aran? What is
Dialogue.
your dialogue? That's the most important thing to
No,
you.
there's nothing else to do. I mean, by elimination, there's absolutely nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I mean, do your thing. Even it's not relevant to my present marriage, but in my previous marriage, my wife says, I'm too tired to clean the house, I want to buy a maid. And no, clean your shit. It's so important psychologically. It's not about money. I would say you're stingy, you don't want to pay a maid to clean it. No, it's not about money at all. It's about cleaning your own shit. It's important.
Yeah, it's responsibility.
There's make your own food. Don't go. I mean, it's okay. It's not. I'm not fanatic about it. I go to restaurants. I enjoy it sometimes. I do all sorts of things, but make your own food. Grow your own food if possible. Clean after you. Don't let anybody else clean after you. It's horrible. I lived in such a house. My house always had a maid.
Right.
I would never let her. As a child, it felt bad to me.
Yeah.
And I never let her clean my my room. I did it all myself.
Very good.
And they respected. They liked me. I don't. Since this might go public, if you turn off the camera, I'll tell you a fantastic story.
Okay.
Because this is out of respect to my mother.
Sure. Okay. Do that later. So again, it comes down to responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is my responsibility. Anybody that I meet, I try to make him interested in what I think is crucial.
So
And
to steer their attention to what you think might be helpful.
Yeah. Sometimes with I work with workers. We barely understand each other.
Yeah.
But just the way I behave. For the first month, they were working in the house, and I was cleaning the shit from everywhere.
Yeah.
You can lecture and say it's good and this is good and that and good. When you do it, it has a completely different effect.
Yeah.
That's a form of dialogue too. Or I'll never. I will never sit and look at somebody. I will never do. I will never sit and watch other work.
Yeah.
I would.
Feels wrong, doesn't it?
It just feels wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, either you leave them alone, or, for instance, they were working on the roof. I have balance issues, so I cannot do that. So go home, but don't sit there and watch.
Yeah, we're here to help each other.
Yeah, it's a collaboration, relationship, dialogue. It's all around the same thing. And we're very poor in all three.
Yeah.
Very poor. If people would realize how poor we are, that by itself would be... we don't even know how relationship smells. It's not that we don't relate. We don't even know what love is about.
Yeah.
All our love is completely conditional, but completely conditional.
Yeah.
And Jesus, the Talmud, the Bible, for the same sakes, obviously say that it's not love at all if it's conditional.
Yeah.
So
what do you think the most loving thing you can do for another human being is?
dialogue.
Dialogue. Always comes down to dialogue.
I can't do anything
Yeah.
else.
I'm very similar.
But dialogue in a very wide, sex is dialogue.
Right.
It's a very wide range. There's nothing. It's so I've done it.
Interact with them.
I've tried other things.
Yeah.
I mean, when I did make films, today films just don't appeal to me in the same way that when I made films, it was also a form of dialogue.
Yeah.
I was trying to create some dialogue. The medium is not what is important. The intention is important.
Do you feel like the Bible is a dialogue between God and us? When we read the Bible, would you say it's a dialogue with the divine?
With the divine in us.
Yeah.
It's never an exterior. Yes. I mean, if people, again, you see, the Bible is very... They want a king. Give them a king. Get it over with. Just let's have 10 minutes of peace. Fine. They want a temple, place. It's not what I'm about, but give them if that helps. Fine.
So, without the Bible, do you think we can have the same relationship with
Yeah,
God?
I'm not connected to the book. It's an amazing book. I'm not in the same way that I'm not connected to Jesus, although he was a remarkable Jew. So, my father was a remarkable Jew. Loved him. My neighbor Buba was a remarkable Jew. Okay.
Who's the most impressive human being you've met in your life, Aran?
Physically met, or
physically met. Yeah, the most impressive.
I think the man that presented most mental freedom of the 20th century was Jiddu Krishnamurti. And he knows nothing of the Bible, doesn't know Hebrew. It's nothing to do with all that. It's just mental freedom.
Yeah.
But he took it too far.
In what way?
Because of his life experience, he became so anti every religion, anti-Bible, and anti-anything that was done in the past that he disconnected. You see, if you look well at Jacob's ladder dream, it specified the legs of the ladder are strongly in the ground, and the top is in the sky. If you don't keep that balance, you're bound to go off. And for instance, his best dialogue partner was David Bohm.
David
Bohm.
Okay.
It was physics, quantum physics.
Okay.
Good man. And they both reach a conclusion that they saw how dominant thought became in humans and how destructive that is.
Yeah.
And they reach a conclusion that at some stage man has made a wrong turn. Now, if you are connected to the Bible, or you realize that that kind of scale of mental movement, it just doesn't make sense to say it's a mistake. A mistake is, I went left and I should have gone right. Small scale mistakes are no mistakes either, but it's understandable but if you take such a large scale mistake, it's not a mistake.
Yeah, I understand.
It's something that humanity had to go through in the you see, what I'm trying most of all is raising the perspective, seeing this is a huge movement that hasn't begun yesterday, and it's been going on for thousands of years, and it has not a direction, or it has a vision, not a goal. In Hebrew, there's a word yi'ud. It's in the root of ad, which is hard to translate. There's no English equivalent word, but the closest you would go is say a purpose or goal, but it's not that. It's more open.
Sure.
To mentally free yourself and to evolve to a different possibility. Now, if you do not have a Bible to give you hints of that, you can reach conclusions, that man has made a mistake and turned right and he should have turned left. Totally impossible if you ask me, and I respect his work and his tremendously, but that's a very major, fundamental mistake in my mind that he made.
Yeah, I understand.
Now his followers will kill me if saying that. But again, although I have tremendous respect to him.
So he was the most impressive man you met?
In the 20th century that I know.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe there were.
Of course.
Who knows? You know, sometimes the most Buber, Martin Buber, the philosopher, that was my neighbor. He made a term, hidden history. There's always figures, public figures, that carry the message, and there's always behind them somebody you know nothing of.
Yeah.
But he's the true seer of the thing, and he is advising, influencing the one you see. And I believe that's true about many, many things. So I'm not looking for rock stars. Very mediocre people.
Sure.
Very mediocre people that somehow babies. Look into the biographies of the Beatles and all these. Literally babies. Up to today, they have never grown up. So I'm not looking for a rock star. I'm not looking for. I'm looking for. Jesus, when he was alive, he was hardly known. The archetype was developed way after he was dead, if he was ever alive. Maybe he was only an archetype. That's all. I'm not going to kill anybody or willing to die for that. If you come through me a knife and says, "Is Jesus alive? You believe in Jesus? Did you meet him?" Okay, I believe in him. Fine. My very good friend Musayov, Shlomo Musayov, I think I told you about him.
Yeah.
He was one of the best merchants I ever met. So, and he got rich by selling expensive jewelry to Arab sheikhs. He served the Saudi royal family for 6 generations. Still does. His widow still does.
Okay.
Amazing man with amazing history. Watch his film; it's entertaining. Gaddafi ordered 500 or something like that watches, gold watches with diamonds, to give to his generals or high command as a present for Ramadan or something.
Mm-hmm.
And when his messenger came to take the watches, he says, "I cannot buy it from you. Somebody told me you were Jewish." Some Sef says, "Ila ila Allah, ila ila Allah, ila ila Allah. Now I'm Muslim. Give me the money."
Yeah, I understand.
Stupid. Why should anybody worry about such stupidity?
Is there anything that what concerns you most about humanity at this stage?
Blindness.
Blindness. Right.
And it's, look around you, it's everywhere.
Yeah. What do you feel you as a human being can do about that, other than just dialogue?
And with you,
yeah.
I'm not, I did, for one, 20, 30 years ago, I thought that I should gather groups, crowds. And I do have charisma. I have many phases. I do have that phase of charisma. I haven't been expressing it the late 10 years or even more.
Right.
But it just doesn't work. It simply does not work. What can you do? It is very possible that leadership of the traditional form at a certain stage was necessary. Again, I don't want to be religious about it, like Krishnamurti says, "Oh, that's the Bible, it's rubbish, oh, that's nonsense." let's leave it alone. At a certain level, man was so deeply asleep that with personal examples of remarkable men, you could suggest to the humans a different possibility, and it was needed.
Yeah.
And without the security of some authority, you couldn't possibly communicate anything. It's possible. I'm not. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're living in a very unusual state. I mean, even 100 years ago, people didn't have the luxury that we have to sit and discuss this thing. I mean, people 100 years ago, which is a fraction of the history, the most basic thought was survival. What will I eat tomorrow? The luxury of sitting down and thinking was for royalty.
Yeah.
If there were
had the capacity
for that. That's it.
Yeah. So do you think leadership is obsolete now in this world?
That kind of authoritative leadership.
Yeah.
And the Bible gives you an example of the true leadership, biblical leadership, and with Moses.
Yeah.
And it says Moses was a complete failure. That is a leadership. Complete failure. Anti-charismatic, could hardly speak. The humble of all humans, it says so in the Bible.
That could be the key there.
That's no charisma.
Yeah. Maybe without humility, there's nothing to offer.
No, what's there to offer except look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me, how spiritual I am. How many friends of those do you have? Oh, look at me, how spiritual I am.
I'm sure you know a lot of people like that. I've met a lot of people.
It gets you nowhere. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying it's not practical.
Yeah.
It gets you nowhere.